Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a B-movie review, and today I'll be having a look at the film Spiders 3D, or simply called Spiders on DVD or video. So this was launched in 2013 and is a sort of moderate to sort of low budget sort of horror sci-fi movie, obviously about spiders. Now there was a similar named film back in 2000, and it's actually very kind of a similar film, to be quite honest with you, about giant spiders. So this one basically tells a tale of some kind of experiments that the sort of the Russian and US government were doing, trying to sort of genetically engineer spiders with kind of this alien DNA to basically make the webs, or get the sort of the webbing, which is we're told is stronger than anything, and it is, it's bulletproof, and it's like this mega hard material. Anyway, there was this experiment was done decades ago apparently, and has been sort of long forgotten about. But the space station that it was being sort of tested on gets knocked by a sort of a meteor and then sort of thrown into orbit into an American city. And it gets crash lands into the sort of the subway system, and sort of lets out all these sort of spiders and things like that. Then basically, you kind of have the main character played by I think his name is Patrick Muldoon, who you may know from Starship Troopers, and his sort of like estranged wife, played by Krista Campbell, and they sort of initially obviously think it's sort of something, just a bomb or something like that, and they later find out obviously it's these spiders have sort of, they don't know where they've come from first of all, but they're obviously infecting everything, and they're causing a problem. The military gets involved and sort of quarantines everything. And then we sort of a bit later we find out obviously it was actually a military experiment, but they're kind of going with everyone's kind of like pretending there's like some sort of outbreak of some virus to sort of cover that up basically. Then obviously you have all the sort of spiders growing far larger than anyone sort of imagined, and kind of breaking loose. So I'm going to go with the negatives of this film first of all, because this is kind of a fun film, but it's got so many bad plot holes and plot sort of like contrivances basically. And I'll just give you a couple. So this is the first 15 minutes. One of the first shots that you'll see is that you'll get like sound in space of these like this space station falling apart and things like that. Now B movies and kind of stuff, I'll allow a certain degree of leaving your brain at the door for this sort of thing, because I don't expect sci-fi B movies especially to be really that sort of necessarily factual and things like that, and kind of obviously some stuff is done for effect, but it just, there's so much of it. Like for example, again, still in the first 15 minutes, you get this thing crash lands into the subway, and everyone thinks it's a bomb. They send one guy down there who's this rail worker to sort of investigate it. That's one thing. Inevitably, he gets bitten by a spider, and then the doctor who does the autopsy refers to the spider bite as an insect bite, and the spiders aren't actually insects. So, and that's just in the first 15 minutes. But there's a whole host of things like these. The government sort of they're trying to sort of cover their tracks, and basically try to start assassinating everyone else. There's this assassin going around and assassinating anyone that's really had anything to do with it. And that plot point has just dropped, and we never, we don't even see the assassin after he's killed a few people, and that's never sort of picked up on again. The Queen's, we told earlier on that the Queen's sort of webbing is meant to be bulletproof in this mega hard material, yet we literally see people ripping it apart with their hands. The Queen is when she comes out, she's massive, but we're talking not quite Godzilla size or anything like that, but she's pretty damn big. It's I don't know, probably the equivalent of about, you know, 10 double-decker buses, something along the lines of that. But she seems to sort of change size and ends up fitting these like pretty small tunnels and things like that. So the soldiers as well, they're kind of they're just sort of fighting these spiders. They literally just seem to be like strolling around. I mean, and some of them are literally just walking. Just one just seems to like walk straight into the spiders and things like that. And you know, just I mean, there's lots of this stuff. I'll just pick one more, but the very end of it, obviously they get, you know, spoiler, they're going to kill the main spider, and literally the second they do that, everyone's just chilling out and think, oh, that job's done. But there's been loads of other spiders all around the city, but everyone else is like completely chilling out, literally seconds after this kind of main queen spider's been sort of killed. Yet we know, well, we guess that it's probably, you know, that every single spider has been killed. So there's got some stupid plot holes in it, and they're quite consistent. Now, the acting, I would say, is fairly decent for a sort of you know, low to moderate budget film, with maybe the exception of the female lead, Krista Campbell, who I think is possibly a bit wooden, and maybe the sort of the au pair that they have for their sort of young daughter. The two of them I don't think are particularly good, but other than that, I think the acting is probably, you know, pretty decent for this sort of film. Patrick Muldoon, I think, you know, gives a perfectly believable performance, and he seemed like a genuinely sort of worried dad, and kind of like, you know, he's working as a sort of like some sort of RAL, sort of the underground supervisor for the subway and things like that. So the acting is fairly good, and I have to say, based on the budget, the effects are pretty good as well. You know, you see obviously all the spiders are CGI for the most part, and you know they're CGI, but they're pretty decent compared to, you know, you have to think this is not a huge budget film. This is not going to be a massive blockbuster film. So I think they actually look pretty good in regards to the sort of budget that this film has, and there's quite a variety of different sort of, you know, shapes and sizes over the spiders. Although the spiders do have kind of like, they do sort of like roar and things like that, and literally have like, some of them have like mouths like sharks and things like that. So they're kind of like maybe not properly, you know, correct like spiders would actually be. So, you know, this film is kind of dumb to be, if you know, is a general. It's fun but dumb. So that's kind of when you go into this film, this is what you need to be thinking about, and it's okay. It's okay for a bit of a time waster, but it's, you know, it's not something where they seem to have really given it a lot of thought, to be honest with you. They just think, oh, okay, I mean, this is a dumb film, no one's going to really care, we'll just, you know, sort of skip over this. Which is a shame, but there you go. But, you know, if you just want a kind of creature feature that's just got, you know, it's just got sort of like reasonable effects and reasonable acting, and, you know, you can do a lot worse in this film. So I'm going to give this one a 5.5 out of 10. Have you seen it? Let me know what you think, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.